The white glove. So, this happened when I was about 9 years old. But first a bit of backstory. My parents got divorced before I was born. After the divorce, my dad left us. So, as long as I can remember, my mother always had 2 jobs. So after school, when my brother and me were home alone, we would often invite friends over. This story took place in one of those afternoons. I live in a rather old house, where all the floors are made out of wood, and, as you maybe know, old wooden floors make noises sometimes. But my brother and me were used to it, which made this experience even more scary. So, me, my brother and our friend were sitting in the living room, playing video games and eating junk food. I guess every 9-year-old kid who is home alone would do the same thing. Anyway, as we were playing along, we suddenly heard noises coming from upstairs. "Guys, did you hear that?" our friend asked. Naturally, me and my brother weren't paying attention to it. "Don't worry, you little chicken. The noises are coming from the wooden floors," my brother said. As my brother and I were mocking our friend, the noises upstairs suddenly became louder. We all went quiet immediately, then the noises started to sound like footsteps. And trust me, I know the difference. I will never forget the look in my brother's face. I even get chills thinking about it now. "Guys, what should we do?" my brother asked. "Why are you asking me? You are the older one," I replied. As my brother and I were arguing, the footsteps suddenly became louder. So we did the only right thing and got the hell out of there. We ran to our backyard and jumped over the fence. As we were standing behind the fence, feeling a little bit safer, we could see the window of the room where the noises were coming from. It was about 30 meters away. I will never forget what happened next. As we were watching the window, we saw the curtain move, but there was nobody standing behind it, and all the windows were closed, so it wasn't the wind as well. "Guys, do you see what I see?" I asked. They didn't answer, but the fear in their eyes was saying enough. What I saw next gave me chills. In the middle of the window, we could clearly see a hand wearing a white glove, and there was still nobody standing behind it. Nobody was saying anything. The only thing that went through my mind was, what the fuck is going on in my room? This was just too much for me, and I started crying. At that moment, we heard a car rolling up the road. It was my mother. She parked the car, and when she got out, she saw me. "What have you done now?" she asked. "Why is he crying?" The other 2 were still staring at the window. "Hey, I asked you a question!" They turned towards her and simply said, "Watch the window." But when she was looking at it, the hand was gone. And when we went back inside, there were no more noises and we didn't find anything unusual. The same evening my brother made me promise to never tell Mom. He said that she had enough on her mind and the hand was gone, so everything was fine. Of course that was easy for him to say, after all the freaking hand had been in my room. No need to say that I didn't sleep a lot that night. But the next morning everything was fine and I got on with my life. But then about 1 week later, it was in the middle of the night and I was awake. I didn't remember waking up, but here I was. But I couldn't move, and I couldn't speak, and I sure as hell couldn't scream. I knew that something was very wrong, and I had a feeling that it had something to do with what happened the previous week. And then I heard the door opening, and I heard footsteps. At that moment, I thought for sure that I would die. And then I saw it. It was a 2-meter tall, pitch-black creature that had nothing in common with a human. Except for its hands. They looked like human hands, wearing white gloves. I tried to move, and I tried to scream, but I couldn't. It was now standing next to my bed, and I could feel something cold coming from it. It is difficult to describe, but it felt like a cold shower in the middle of the winter. It looked at me. I saw the darkness in its face. It had no eyes, but I could tell that it was staring directly at me. I closed my eyes. I was sure I was going to die. And then I woke up. I was completely drenched in sweat. I was relieved that after all, it was just a dream. I could hear my mom and brother talking in the kitchen, so I went downstairs to join them. "Ah, look at Mr. Nightwalker," my mom said. "What do you mean?" I asked. "You're kidding, right? You were walking across the whole house, opening all the doors. I couldn't sleep all night because of you. It wasn't your brother. I saw him sleeping in his bed. And when I got to your room, you were nowhere to be found." I blanched, and when my brother saw me, he blanched too. I never saw the creature again after that night. I'm 25 now and my brother is 26. We never talked about it again, and we never told our mother. I never found out what happened to me that night, but I will never forget it. And I'm sure so will he.